Man of Steel #1 is the start of Bendis' actual issues, not just a little preview in Action 1000, not just a little thing in DC Nation. Is the full first issue of his run. 6 issues of this weekly before we get to Superman and Action Comics. So before we even talk about what's in the issue, let's just get some the opinions of enjoyment out of the way. Matt, did you enjoy Man of Steel #1?
Has Superman's cape red?
Mostly. Unless it's the mid-90s and there's no cape and he's all electric blue, then yeah.
Oh, no, we're talking about Superman's cape, yeah.
I also enjoyed it quite a bit. I have like one kind of minor criticism, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. But I know what everyone's waiting for. Connor, you read this, right?
I tried.
How far did you get?
The second page.
Second page? What?
I did the first page, and I turned to that double-page spread, and there's all this dialogue, and I thought, okay, I can do this. I got halfway through, so kind of technically the third page, if you were splitting it by page count, and I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't do this dialogue. I can't do Bendis dialogue for this much.
There wasn't even that Bendis saying that first couple of pages.
Oh, it's all this big slog of dialogue, and I'm like, no, I'm good.
His dialogue flows so well for me. There's a lot of it, but it flows. It
doesn't to me though, and this is something we've been over before. It's why I don't like Bendis. It's not that the ideas are bad. It's that I don't like his dialogue, and he has a lot of dialogue, and it's why this just isn't for me. And that's just I decided at that point where I was like, you know what, I'm just forcing myself through this already. I don't want to read this. So what's the point?
Oh well, Matt, we will enjoy discussing Man of Steel, and Connor will just not be reading Superman for the next like 2-3 years.
Telepathic, because I just envisioned his head exploding scanner style. About 3 minutes.
Well, it's fine. You guys, everyone's really positive about it, and I'm happy for you all. You guys can all enjoy a book. I will just not be reading Superman for a while, unfortunately, and that sucks. But that's comics, right?
Oh dear.
All right, well, I'm gonna use all my voice for this one then. Since I have to pull Connor's dead weight up the stairs.
So, well, I just figured there's no point in me sitting here every issue and going, I don't like it. I'm good. I don't need to be doing that.
This is of course written by Bendis, art by Ivan Ruiz. I never said that before. I'm saying it now because the official discussion starts. Connor's on mute for the next 10-15 minutes.
That's fine. Enjoy. I will listen inside. Yes, basically I will. You know how some books I'll kind of tune out so that I don't hear too much because I'll probably read it at some point. On this, I will pay attention and listen just so I keep up to date with what's going on.
Okay, all right. So we start with Rogol Zar, and this is in the past. This is many years ago, and he is with the Circle. This council of like beings who are kind of running the universe essentially. One of whom is a Guardian. Matt, can you name all these characters? That impressed me.
I can name 2 of them.
Go on.
So in the middle we have a Guardian. That's Appa Ali Apsa.
Yeah, we get him at the end. Yeah, we get him explain who he is at the end.
And then the guy with the goggles is from Rand, and I'm looking up his name right now, but it looks like it's Adam Strange's father-in-law.
I wonder if it's just the same race, but it's not actually him personally.
It's the goggles that really made it look like him. I'm trying to find what his name was. It's escaping me right now. But the other ones seem familiar, but I can't place them. Like I feel like one of them's from Thanagar. That's the guy next to the guy from Rand.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Then the guy with the Wanda Maximoff mask.
Yeah,
no idea who that is.
And the Icicle looking dude, I'm not sure who that is either.
No. So
it's definitely not Icicle. He's not on this council.
No.
I'm calling that now.
It's very reminiscent of what Bendis was doing in Guardians with that council. We had like the Shi'ar and Jason of Spartax, that whole council. Which that's Bendis, but I like what it did with Rogol Zar and how it set him off why he's a natural foil for Superman.
Yeah.
He's all about strength through superiority, right? Like, and he doesn't like when he looks at other people doing the same as him.
Well, I mean,
he wants to
he also explains that, I mean, he's basically pleading with this council we should destroy Krypton because they feed off other civilizations. They're taking resources. Everything in their technology is based on taking resources from, and they're just going to like end up destroying more things. So he's basically pleading with them, hey, let's destroy them. So this is him sort of pleading his case. We come back to this a little bit later. But so I mean, we go to present day. It's Metropolis. It's now. Things are happening. Killer Moth and Firefly specifically, right? Killer Moth is showing up here because Firefly's hiding out in Metropolis, because thinking that the villains don't come to Metropolis, they're too scared to, so this is the perfect place to hide. But as he points out, Superman listens for certain key phrases that people might shout in case he's needed around the city, and sure enough he swoops in, and we get the fantastic double-page spread of him flying through the air, carrying both of these characters. It's great stuff.
And before that, though, the panel right before the page turn, you just get that streak.
Yeah, the swoop.
Blur.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Good. One of my favourite bits of dialogues on this page, actually, especially it's because Moth's been all he's like, oh no, I timed this, like I made sure Superman was in another country right now, and then he gets grabbed out, and then in the double page phrase like, oh god, please don't drop me. He's like, I won't do that. Batman does it all the time. I know, but when he does it, it's funny. That really made me laugh. It was just Superman with a bit of sense of humour, with a little bit of sarcasm. Is really cool. And then the next page is, by the way, am I the only one? So after this, he's floating in the sky, right, and he's listening at the city, right, and he mentions that he hears someone singing a song. It's a cover, and in the narration panel it says, "I've heard this song before, but I can't place it," and it's la 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 la. Was I the only one who read that as la 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 la?
I did too.
Yeah, I was thinking that was a John Williams Superman theme joke.
Me too.
Yeah, cool. I just don't know. But then he gets angry at himself. He's pissed because, oh shit, there was, I mean, he doesn't say shit, he's Superman, but it basically, there was a scream that he didn't hear at first because he was distracted by eavesdropping on this song. And that leads to this big scene where there's a fire and he ends up saving some people through the fire. So the artwork's great here. He saves a little girl with her puppies. He's got his cape around her.
Yeah, who she says holy shit, and he goes, language please. And I love the Boy Scout version of him. It's also why I love Cap in the Avengers movies. There's that whole section of Age of Ultron where it turns like, did he just tell me to watch my language? It's just fun to poke fun at the Big Blue Boy Scout section. Yeah. But we see why he's Superman and how he takes care of those that he's saving. Like, he just doesn't rush in there. He looks, he finds the girl, covers her. And,
yeah, I love that when he's wrapped his cape around her and the fire's like burning and he's keeping her safe. She swears again. From under the cape, she's like shit again. It's good stuff. And then he goes back up and he sucks out all the fire and lets the flames go. And it's a whole big thing. And I especially like the panel of the people he's saved and the firemen looking up at him. It's very Superman to in the awe, but it's even reminiscent of that first helicopter scene in the movie where they're all looking up. It kind of gives me those vibes. But he's examining with his X-ray vision. I actually liked how the art did this. It was almost like the shape of goggles on the wall that he's seeing through. I really like that touch in the art. But he's going through the burned building looking for evidence as to what's going on here. We get glimpses of like a little flashback in the middle here, but we'll come back to that at the end. So this new character was introduced. This fire chief who's an inspector, Melody Moore. Who is basically, hey, you did a lot of good work tonight, do you want a job, kind of jokingly, and he's like, hey, so you think it's arson, why do you think that, blah blah blah. It's like, oh well, there's this guy Firefly that I just picked up here, maybe worth looking into him, it's kind of his thing. But she's like, okay, I'll look into that, and he's like, hey, I've got contacts at Daily Planet. And this was the one moment in the book that I got worried about the characterization, because I didn't realise we were at a point where Lois and John were already gone. And I didn't get that until the second read-through. When I read it last night, I didn't connect the dots until then. Yeah, as soon as it came up later, I retroactively then understood why he said this. But he's like, because he says to her, hey, if you need help with negotiate with your investigation, contact Clark Kent or Lois. And then he stops himself and says, no, just call Kent. Because the first time I read that, it almost sounds like he's going to tell him about his wife, and then says, no, I don't want her calling her. I don't want Lois knowing about her. Right. And it sounds like he's planning to play the field a bit.
I had a friend text me, go, so what do you feel like Superman hitting on a redhead? Isn't that like your thing? And I go, very funny. but he wasn't. He was being, he was covering for himself.
Yeah,
That's what I picked up from the first one.
Yeah, what he's doing here is he's about to say call Clark or Lois, and then he realizes, no, wait, Lois isn't there. Like, he's so used to saying Lois as well, but Lois is gone right now. So that was the thing. Later on in the issue, when you realize, oh, they're already gone, that's why he does this. But it's just, I mean, obviously Bendis, I expected to introduce some new characters that were going to be a big thing.
Yeah.
And she's already got a bit of a nice personality. She sort of says, hey, am I taller than Wonder Woman? And he's like, yes, actually. He's like, I knew it. And then there's that funny little moment as he's flying off, and she just sort of whispers to herself, nice to meet you, Superman, kind of flirty. And then he just sort of turns around. He turns around and she's like, shit, he's got super hearing.
So is it weird that I read this in Jessica Chastain's voice? That's weird.
I mean, unhealthy, perhaps.
Okay.
But not weird, necessarily.
But yeah, and I always, when I always describe the difference between Superman and Batman, and again, I brought it up a couple times before, DDO nailed it, whereas Batman's a cop, right, and Superman's a firefighter. So to see Bendis latch onto that, and that's like one of the first acts you see him take care of in this book, which is a new, jumping on point for people. And then the first new supporting character you meet in this issue is this fire lady, who's an investigator. And I hope I feel like we're gonna get more of her. But there's also from was it the Action Comics, that new reporter that's there?
I think that reportedly will be more of an Action Comics thing, because that's the Daily Planet focused book, and then maybe this character will be more of a Superman issue.
Because you see her in the background when they go to the planet, like she's standing behind Perry at one point.
Yeah. So we cut to the past again, and it's Rogol Zar, and he's just. I actually really like this page. I thought this issue did a good job of making Rogol Zar not just look this generic villain. Like, his motivation's actually a little bit more interesting. And I think it's interesting because the Guardian who was in the Circle shows up. Apa Ali Apsa. He's got a really fun name to say.
That's why the Guardian stopped getting names. Just because,
But he shows up and he's basically like, you're letting your personal feelings cloud your judgment, which is interesting, because what is that personal history? Because his reasons for wanting to destroy Krypton are like, hey, they're going to infect the rest of the universe, and the Guardian here is like, no, like, let them rise and fall on their own. Like, if they're going to have a demise, it'll be their own doing, and it leaves Rogol Zar like saying, but please, like, he's actually pleading almost, and then that full page spread of him just like kneeling down, and it's the darkness behind him in the cave. It's a really great page, but.
Yeah, well, and he's more than just this meathead for Superman Punch. Whatever this thing, and I feel like this council has used him before. And that's why he was calling in a favor to let me destroy Krypton. So, we all know that he has something to do with the end of Krypton. I don't think it's going to be that cut and dry.
I think he believes he does. I don't know if it's going to turn out that... Yeah.
I think the planet was going to blow no matter what, and whatever he does there... he feels like he's responsible for it, so he takes that on, and he's such a zealot. But that's going to be his thing going forward.
He's so anti-Krypton. Obviously he's going to hunt down the remaining Kryptonians. That's going to be his thing. But this, this personal history. What did a Kryptonian do to him, or his family, or someone he cared about in the past? What?
And I'm hoping it's not someone from the House of L. Like, I'm hoping we get a little bit more depth on Krypton.
So we come back to present day, we're at the planet, and Clark's doing his story, and we get classic Perry here. He's like, hey, you got something good for me, Clark? And he's like, I've got arson, Mr. White. Arson? I'm looking for blood-curling, sit-away conspiracy, and you bring me arson. Multiple counts. Still arson, Clark. Still arson.
But still, arson? Really?
Yeah, it's good stuff. And he has a moment where he looks at, we see the stand-up of Lois that we got in the was it, whatever one it was, the DC Nation or the Action, I think it was the DC Nation. And Clark looks at his photo, and so we get the sense that something's happened here, and this is what he was having a little sort of audio flashback of at the middle of the issue, and the flashlight kind of emulates what happens here at the end of the book. So we get this flashback, and John's there, and basically John, he's grown up a little bit, and his Superboy suit doesn't fit him anymore. His jacket doesn't actually fit him, and he's like, hey, it's called a growth spurt. And there's a little joke about how Lois is like, you can join the legion of kids that are old enough to fix their own problems. And we see that, everything's fine. And then there's a bright light out of nowhere, and then the last page. But it's worth mentioning as well. The last 2 pages are Fabic on the art.
Yeah.
Switched artists for whatever reason.
He is doing one of the other issues, right? I thought he
He's
was
doing the next one.
The next one.
I
Right.
wonder if it's because the next issue is going to be a lot of this backstory stuff, and that's why they're choosing him to lead into it. So you've got this bright white light, and you just hear, Dad, what is Clark ? Like, so it's like this mystery of what is this white light. This is actually my only critique of the book, honestly, is that I feel like this cliffhanger comes out of like almost nowhere.
Left field. Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be fine in terms of when you read it all together. It's just for the end of the issue, for the issue to sort of wrap up to its conclusion, it feels very sudden. That's my one complaint, really.
So you want to make some guesses on what's going on with Lois and John? Because I have some thoughts.
You start off, Matt, and I'll bounce off you.
We know this council's been around for a while, right? But they might not be who's still in charge. But I have no reason to think that they're still not watching out, even if it's just the Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
So if they get word that Rogolzar is coming to clean up, right, and attack Superman, because we know that's where this is going, then maybe the council feels responsible for this, and so they offer to fix stuff within the universe with Lois and John.
So you think they've taken them for protection? That makes me wonder. Does Clark know that Rogolzar's coming then? Because I feel like if he doesn't, I feel like if Lois and John are just taken, he doesn't know where they went, and he has no indication. I feel like he would be obsessed with finding them. It wouldn't just be like how he's doing. It wouldn't be going to work and doing normal things.
Yeah, and so maybe they'd like, well, you need to face this on your own. This is your, to borrow a term, this is your birthright. You need to deal with this guy. We can't help you, but we can provide for your family. We don't know when he's coming, but we're not going to let Lois and John be collateral damage, if you will. Those let the rest of Metropolis, apparently.
Yeah, I think that's a fair guess based on what we have. I'm kind of inclined to think, though, that this is something we just don't know about yet.
Maybe. I want to see more of this council, and even if it's Ganthet, on this now, and whoever. So
isn't it cool that Bendis in one issue is already starting to play with other corners? So he's already got a Guardian in there.
He's got a Guardian. He's got that one dude with the weird mask. He's the Icicle Man. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Like, he's pulling. And I'm sure those are characters. So if you guys know, hit us up. I didn't have time to look for who these characters are because it's hard to Google search like council of characters. But I do like what they're doing with Rogolzar. He definitely feels like some of the stuff that Bendis has hinted at about Superman's Jewish identity, being created by 2 Jewish creators.
Oh yeah,
Bendis
the fact that he's got around exterminating a race of people is, all the correlation we need with that.
And just that he seems to represent the fundamentals of fascism, about like we need to stop the spread of this one thing, and we have to do it through superior power, and we have to crush it, and it definitely feels like World War II Germany.
He's far more interesting now than he was in the Action Comics, short.
Yep.
Right, and I enjoyed that short story, but he was definitely just a generic villain of it, and whereas this has made him a bit more interesting, because I'm curious as to why he hates Kryptonians so much now.
Yeah, exactly, because we know that the Kryptonians can be jerks. We've seen them do things. Like maybe with the way he looks and what we know from Doomsday, like maybe that has something to do with it.
Is Doomsday his genetically modified brother? Like they took his brother and turned him into Doomsday, and that's why he's pissed.
Yeah, something like that. And but we also know this doesn't gel. I don't know how long ago this is. But
I just want to say, Matt, before you go to something else, I just want to say, as much as I'm joking about that would actually kind of in a way, maybe it's not his brother, but if Doomsday turns out to have come from this race that Rogolzar's from, it would explain why when everyone saw me went, oh, that's a bit Doomsday looking, just with more clothes and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and if you know Doomsday's origin about how he was killed and revived, and they killed a different way, and he genetically remembered everything, that's a very cruel thing to put any kind of creature through, And if you're, even if it's just someone from his own planet, and he hears that the Kryptonians have done that, then he's in his own way he's justified. Which those are always my favorite kind of villains. Like that's why I love Lex so much. Is he's justified in thinking that Superman's bad for Metropolis, because things were going great until Superman showed up. But yeah, so I really enjoyed this issue.
Yeah,
I feel like Bendis has a knack for the character.
Yeah, I think the attitude, the inspiration, the hope of Superman is kind of on the page, like it's there. Like it already feels like the start of like a prominent Superman run, like you know, and I feel like that's something Superman
needs
a bit more. Yeah, like because I felt like Tomasi and Gleason was going to be that, and then it filtered out a little bit, and
yeah. Well, that happens. You have Johns come in and he has an awesome run from Action, but then it dies off, and then it's it's fine, it's readable, and then it'll pick back up again. There's not these long, consistent runs like Batman's had with Frank Miller with Year One and all that stuff, and then Snyder and Capullo, and then even Grant Morrison in his run, and now King with his run. Like there's just not runs of that size, post-Crisis for Superman. I mean, Byrne's close, but I'm not a big fan of a lot of that Byrne stuff.
I think Byrne definitely counts. He's got 9 volumes. The trade's like 9 volumes, so I mean, like it counts.
Yeah. I mean, that's the next closest long run we have, I feel.
Yeah.
Because everything else is kind of a mini-series that recounts his origin. Like, those are all my favorite Superman stories.
Yeah, I think he's got the voices of all the characters so far that he's been using down. New characters seem likeable and interesting. I have very little to fault with this. So if we're rating Man of Steel #1, like I'll dock a little bit for I think the abrupt cliffhanger at the end. But honestly, I think I have to go with a 9. Like I think I'm hyped for this.
Yep.
I'm
Me
into
too.
it.
Gave it a 9 as well.